Hello, everyone. I'm Contester, joined by Chris Dickinson, the Dirty Daddy himself. Chris, how you doing today?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm good, and we are right here on Monday, just a few days away from WrestleMania weekend. For you, for the wrestling world in general, definitely a big weekend. For you specifically, this will be your return to the ring after a very severe leg injury back in November. There couldn't be a possibly better way to come back. You've got three huge matches lined up just this weekend alone, so I have to imagine you're feeling pretty excited.
I am extremely excited. I'm so pumped. To be honest, yeah, I really am. It's a surreal experience. I can't believe how, when you're in the middle of it, it's like, oh man, it's just such a drag. But I it feels like the time went by so quickly. So I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm ready to go, but I am ready to go for sure. So I'm pretty pumped.
Let's talk about your recovery a little bit, because I mean the way it sounded at the time, there was a really severe injury, and it sounds like you really kind of recovered ahead of time. So what was that process kind of like? And I've been seeing online you've been posting about kind of your progress and training, just like you know, just to walk us down kind of that process of going through that recovery.
Well, yeah, they did tell me that it is for all the stuff I've posted. I guess is true. They did tell me it could take like up to 9 months. I was like, dude, I can't be out for 9 months. And then they were like, well, you're a really athletic guy. You're in good shape. We're looking like 6 months, 5 months tops. I was like, I could do it in 5 months. I bet I could. I mean, to be honest, I never had an issue like this before. I only got the worst injury I ever had was ACL and meniscus, and soft tissue damage is like a totally different ball game. So having done that versus this, I would take this any day. I mean, they both really suck. My girl actually is going through ACL right now. She just got the surgery over a week ago. So they both really suck. But I would choose this. It was just as soon as I got home from the hospital, because I was out there for like a week, immediately I went to the gym and did an upper body workout and stuff, because I was able to go to the gym as long as I was in a seated position, no lower than like 90 degrees, and all upper body stuff. I obviously was limited, especially the first like month or
Right.
so, 5 weeks. But before I really was able to start moving along with the PT, and the PT is really what I think helped me move along so quickly, was physical therapy every other day. No weekends off, so it'd be like 2 days and then I go back. But I was going like every other day and just doing a lot of very simple, tedious, repetitive exercises with my legs, with some assistance, with all these things. And I'd get stretched out, do some like arm bike, and really just eased in over time to all of these different things, like adding more or starting to but once I was able to like hop on, and this is after like maybe 5 or 6 weeks, once I was able to hop on like the leg curl, the leg extension, and like really hit it with some weight, hit my quads and my hamstrings with some weight and stuff, that's when I started like really seeing the things to move quickly. But I say, anybody that gets injured, especially something like my injury, you got to just stick hard with the PT, ease into the weights and the stuff that you're normally used to doing, but you can't obviously jump right back in. You have to start, small. I've been training for a long time, so I kind of have a good idea of that. But then it was, when I started, I went and started training with a Muay Thai group I got a really good coach, and it's at this gym where I train at, and there's like an upstairs level, and they have like, a dojo up there. Basically, they have like, Muay Thai like 2 nights a week. They got boxing. It just extends it to its whole other side's a whole boxing gym. There's a whole like turf area. The gym I go to right now training at is so great. A lot of great coaches over there. So I started going to a Muay Thai class just 2 times a week. And that was when I was going to really obviously see, well, where's my footwork at? Am I going to take a step and go to the post, throw a kick, and I'm going to be like, oh my God, my hip, what's wrong with me? No, everything was just normal from the beginning. So I started doing that some more. I started going, I could go whenever I want, because the mat's pretty much, the dojo's open if there's no classes, if you have access to it, if you go to this gym. So I'm in that gym on those mats like every day, doing my own thing, just working on footwork and stuff, and working out up there. And then, the more I'm doing that, then the more I'm starting to ramp up my own exercises when I'm training legs. And it's just, snowball effect. And then the next thing you know, it's like I started rolling again with guys on the mat. And that was where I was like, all right, at first I was like, hey guys, like, I just got surgery like a couple months ago. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be at. And then I just started, just kind of eating dudes alive, because I was like supercharged. Nothing bothered me. I'm like pushing the pace. I'm like taking shots. I'm all over the place, man, scrambling, and nothing was bothering me. So then I was like, okay, and I'm going with guys that are pushing the pace and trying to give me a good challenge. And I've through all these different tests I've given myself, and which then eventually just became my weekly training regimen of I go to the gym twice a day. It's been good. So.
That's great to hear. And then obviously it's a relief, I'm sure for you, that you're ready in time for a spring break weekend. I remember, I think it was the World on GCW came out and announced that you wanted to come back in time for spring break weekend. And I have to ask, was there any ever worry or concern that, you might not make it? Because like that's that specific of a deadline.
Well, it seemed right that it would be 5 months, basically, give or take a couple of weeks or 2 days or a week or whatever. It would give or take 5 months till spring break. And it just seemed so right to do it. And I think at that point in December or January, when was that show? January, right? Yeah. At that point, I think it was like, I need to make a decision. I need to put, it's time to put myself on the spot. And I put myself on the spot. I mean, and I was a little nervous actually when I announced it, and I was like, oh God, I guess I'm coming back now. Like now I know, because at that point it's still, man, it was this thing was brutal. The first couple days of this, the emergency room, the hospital, that whole scenario, it was unlike anything I ever had experienced. And it was not it's not like when you pop an ACL or you tear a ligament and it's like, well, I could go home and then talk to my orthopedic. I could go find a doctor. I want to do this and get some opinions. Or no, it was not like that. It was an emergency thing that had to get done like as soon as possible. And I didn't have a choice. And thank God, I was blessed enough to be in a place where I had good surgeons. It was a good place. I had to get transferred to that hospital because they took me to a hospital where there was just a resident orthopedic surgeon. There wasn't like a trauma specialist or a group of trauma specialists. So I had to get transferred to that hospital from where I was. And that's where I got the surgery and all that. And it sucked, but and now looking back on it, saying at least I was in good hands. I was talking with my physical therapist, who's Crowbar from WCW.
Very nice.
Chris Ford. Yeah, he was my physical therapist throughout all this. And I mean, what a tremendous human being and an amazing physical therapist. I mean, that guy had taught me so much about the human anatomy, the human body, about healing, about recovery, about regeneration, about cell regeneration, waking up cells, doing all this stuff that I could obviously get into, but he taught me so much and was so gracious enough to help me. And it was, that was honestly, I think I give him the most credit for helping me kind of recover so quickly. But we were talking the other night about like, hey man, those doctors, they must have did a good job because this it was a fast turnaround.
Absolutely. And again, it's great. It's great that you've made it and you're going to be, again, full speed ahead for this weekend. I want to talk about the specific matches, but you mentioned the Muay Thai training and things. And I just have to ask, is that like a new kind of part of your arsenal in a way, or at the least like a more, have you been kind of focusing more on that as part of your training, like the fighting style itself, or has that been kind of just a part of your way of training in general to get back in ring condition?
A little bit of everything. I mean, I've trained in Muay Thai before. I'm originally a karate guy from back in the day, growing up as a kid, Kyokushin. I did Taekwondo. So I've always had kind of like a kicking base, but Muay Thai and boxing. And the guy who I'm working with now, my coach, his name's Chris too. I mean, this guy is so sick. He's a great coach. And, I'm always looking for ways to improve myself as a pro wrestler. Even now, I don't have a very flashy style. My style is pretty straight away, but I'm always thinking like, well, how can I make it better? Well, you sitting on, I'm sitting on the couch for a couple months. I got to work on my kicks. I got to work on my strikes. I got to work on my how to load up strikes, my footwork, and what's going to help me. What's going to be a better test for my hip and seeing where I'm at than throwing myself into a situation like that where I'm going to be doing a lot of pad work, doing a lot of just boxing stuff and kickboxing stuff and just posting single leg, a lot of cardio. That's really what it's all about. Is this it's such a tremendous amount of conditioning work that you do when you train in something like that. That's what I really need to make sure I'm ready for the ring. But also, always trying to improve my kicking technique and, my striking technique and, just overall just makes you better, makes you better at everything.
Yeah, and obviously, needless to say, Muay Thai, a very legitimate, true fighting style, and I'll be on full display at Bloodsport 8. Yeah. That's on Thursday. There's so many matches we can try to keep them all straight, but you'll be facing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No
like
problem.
I said, I was learning. So been learning some Muay Thai sweeps and things that I didn't really know too much before, and I'm like, wow, this absolutely works in a wrestling setting, and it's easy to do. It's nothing that I have to explain to someone, and that's the pro wrestling I like, is the things that you could throw someone in the ring and I could just do all my stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that's I love learning things like that. Anything that makes you better and you could bring it into the pro wrestling world. I mean, that's what I'm after.
Yeah, and again, we're going to get to see that, I imagine, at Bloodsport 8. That is on Thursday. I believe you'll be facing Minoru Suzuki, one of the more kind of high-profile, at least especially for you. You have 3 big matches this weekend. To me, that's one of the biggest ones because it's a rematch of Bloodsport 8, and as I think it was Showdown in Philadelphia in October as well. You're facing it there as well. So this is kind of like the third match in the trilogy. So and you challenge him to this match. So what's your kind of mindset heading into this match? What makes you kind of confident that things might go differently this time because you're kind of in the hole, if you will, in the series up to this point?
I've just had so many months to rest, and I'm just so full of piss and vinegar. I've been working on my striking. I feel like, honestly, when it came to grappling and wrestling, I don't think Suzuki was really able to keep up. I mean, he could slow me down, but I was just so on him, especially in that Bloodsport match. I feel like, if it just tweak some things around, improve some of my striking, I'm honestly really looking to bust his ass up. I'm just saying, I'm really looking to take it to him. I'm not losing this one. There's no chance. So I'm going in there with the mindset to win. I'm going in there with the mindset to kill. I've been watching him the last few weeks, a couple of the matches. Man, he never, ever, ever turns off. I mean, I'll say this. I love that man. I mean, I respect him. He is such an inspiration to me. He always has been. He always will be. But he's my enemy, and I have to absolutely crush him in that match. And I'm gonna take it to him because it's just, I have. That's a big test. It's a big test. You don't just. A lot of guys don't come back from injury and just jump right back into a match like that. And that's the beauty of pro wrestling. I mean, he is such an amazing pro wrestler and such a contributor to everything that is now of mixed martial arts, of everything as MMA. I mean, Minoru Suzuki, Masakatsu Funaki, the founders of Pancrase and all the guys that came before them who trained them and all of that stuff. People don't realize that you don't have the UFC, you don't have MMA on this grand scale in the way in which we have it right now. If it was not for, the UWF, and it wasn't for New Japan Pro Wrestling, if it wasn't for Pancrase and Rings and all of that stuff from all that circle of guys there, and just to be able to step into a ring with somebody like Minoru Suzuki, and this is my 3rd match with him, so I've wrestled him a lot, and obviously that's a huge honor for me, but at this point it's past that. It's past the honors and past the respect and stuff, and I'm looking to go in there and absolutely crush him and just put him down for sure. That's for real.
Yeah, I mean, we've, like I said, it's been 2 matches now. This will be your 3rd. So how does it kind of evolve that process of working with them over time, other than kind of moving beyond that that feeling of that, it's something you looked up to? How's it kind of again, we're talking about you're really maybe moving beyond that, but still elaborate a little bit. It's like this is your third match with him, and this is one of the biggest matches of the weekend. So like just what's it been like working with him so far, and then
We
this
were
time.
supposed to have the match two years ago. I'm sorry, I lost you a little bit there.
No problem.
Oh, no.
You're saying you're gonna have the match 2 years ago?
Hello?
You're saying you're gonna have the match 2 years ago with him?
Yeah, I lost you a little bit though. Your videos. Yeah. Can you hear me? Your videos kind of. Oh, wait a minute. I think you're back. I think we're back. Are we back?
We're good to go. Can you hear me?
All right, because there's like a little lag in your. There's a little lag in your video, but I think it's like working again.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, we were supposed to wrestle each other 2 years ago, and then that all kind of got squashed because of COVID and everything. And then the first time I wrestled him was really surreal because it was literally like it was the day of my father's funeral. So that was definitely a little bit of an emotional night, and it was something though. That was the first time I ever main evented the New Japan card in Philadelphia, and it was sold out. It was awesome. It was special, but it didn't come away with the W. And then we did it again at Bloodsport in California, and that was awesome. And again, I didn't come away with the W, so it's kind of evolved into this point where I think I kind of like have one more chance to really prove myself. But like I said, it's cool to be able to step in the ring with him, but I think it's like past that point. At this point, it's like I got to really like just turn it up a few notches because I got to get that W. It's really important. So
yeah. Here's hoping you do it. And speaking of the New Japan side of things, this weekend as well, you're facing Tomohiro Ishii at the Lone Star Shootout. That is on Friday, April 1st. And again, another kind of living legend, or at the very least, a very highly renowned name in the New Japan side of things. So, what's the kind of thought process heading into that match? That's for New Japan Strong, and that's a brand that's really kind of taken off over the past several months, especially as the crowds have come back and everything. We saw that within the fall as well, but it feels like that brand is getting even more momentum with such a star-studded show. And then for you to be facing Ishii on that, I'm sure you got to be excited for that one as well.
Yeah, that really is huge. It's because I got hurt in the New Japan ring, and I'm just gonna be honest. New Japan has been there for me throughout my injury. They were there for me the night I got hurt. I more or less like basically was really heartbroken at the time because I kind of knew things were going in such a great direction with everything with Strong and the company and myself, and I was just like scared, like, man, I don't want to lose this. Like, this is everything I've worked my whole life for. So to see how New Japan is opening the door for me to return with a match like this and really like just come back and prove to the company and prove to, everybody that I'm here to stay, and this is where I want to be at. And, against someone, like you said, another living legend, and in a match where a lot of people kind of nowadays are synonymous with the style of the Bloodsport kind of or a lot more grappling and submission wrestling and implicating martial arts. But really, like, I made my name on wrestling kind of like big time strong style matches, like, especially when I was wrestling in Japan before for other companies. So I think clash of styles, having a match with someone like Suzuki and then having the match that I'll probably have with Ishii, it's awesome, and to be able to do that in a New Japan ring and on a big stage and in a very important weekend, it's a huge chance for me to really just come back, kick the door open, and be like, listen, I'm back. And it's like getting a chance to make a first impression again, which you don't really get a second chance to make a first impression. So, it's kind of like sucks. I had to sacrifice myself and my body and kind of sit on the shelf for a little while to be able to get that opportunity to make another really big first impression. But God bless New Japan Pro Wrestling. They're really setting me up to come back and whoop some ass in a really good position. And, I get to get in the ring with somebody like that. And, just furthermore, take those steps forward to getting back to Japan and just continuing to grow the strong brand. Like you said, we started this thing in front of nobody, you know, in Oxnard, California, in a closed studio, literally, like, you know, if there was no commentary happening during the match and like they piped it in after or whatever, if like Kevin Kelly wasn't there that day or in the middle of a match, you literally, if there's like a moment of silence or something, you could hear a pin drop. So, you know, I always look back to those times as, you know, I never cared that there wasn't fans. I just was so grateful to be there in the first place and so excited to be in a New Japan ring. And I thrived in those environments. I always thought with the no fans, you know, because it's just you got to turn your intensity up like double, because you know you have to do everything you possibly can to really punch through that camera lens to the people watching at home on their TV or their phone or their tablet or whatever. You know, so you can't rely on the energy of the audience. And we had have a group of guys there that, you know, from the beginning, with this, you know, mixed with the LA Dojo guys and the guys who were kind of in with Strong from the start, and guys who have come in the, you know, during. It's such a great environment, a great locker room, and it's such a good group of guys there that literally, you know, in being around wrestling since I was in high school, literally I've been around so many locker rooms. I grew up in this stuff, indie wrestling, more than half my life. I've never felt more like just comfortable and grateful for the guys around me, and just shared culture and shared goal. And it's just, you know, really feel like you're part of a team with the group of guys we got over there. And to see now how it's just manifesting, and now that, you know, fans have come back and the shows are doing great, and we're starting to really like get the ball rolling, and there's more coming and to see how the company is getting behind it and investing in this. I mean, in a way, sure, it sucks, everything that happened with the pandemic. Like, I'm never gonna think that it was, you know, that oh no, this is it sucks the way the pandemic fucking sucked. It was terrible, and it screwed up a lot of stuff. But, you know, you got to make the best with what you got and what you got to work with. And maybe if there was no pandemic, maybe I wouldn't have ended up working with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And you know, that just has to do with, you know, NJPW Strong and everything that we've built there and what we're doing going forward. And I'm so stoked to be a part of that. So,
as someone who's been there from essentially the start, you know, kind of aside from your injury, you know, and you mentioned how it's really picking up steam and getting momentum and the things going forward. What do you think is kind of the ceiling for the New Japan Strong brand? Because we know they're going to Chicago, Windy City Riot in April, coming back to Philadelphia with Collision in May. You know, it's like a touring brand now, and like, whereas as you mentioned previously, it started off as this kind of like a, you know, stationary thing where they're taping in California. Now it's gone over the place. And again, they're bringing in more and more talent, you know, getting more and more star-studded cards. Like, it feels like, again, it's really picking up momentum. And what's kind of your thought on where it could kind of go from here on out?
Yeah, I mean, you got to understand, it's just kind of like I said, it just keeps like growing and growing, like right before our eyes. I mean, I get an email of like when there's going to be a new show or a new date. It just seems like it's just growing and growing. It's like exponentially faster than it was. So it seems like there really is no ceiling right now, which is exactly what I'm sure New Japan Pro Wrestling wanted. So, you know, it seems like they had a pretty strong idea of this expansion into the United States before the pandemic. And I really like commend them on, you know, just working around the issues and tackling the pandemic stuff and kind of like doing their best to really get it together and still continue the expansion and you know, try something different. I think New Japan's like done such an incredible job with that, like, because they're a company that exists in a completely different culture in a completely different country on the other side of the world, and they have started this entirely different side of things over here to be able to cater to, you know, a lot of the foreign talent that couldn't can't get into Japan because of the visa situation. And, you know, that way they'll find new guys, they'll find their new stars, and give opportunities for the guys over there to come over here and then mix it up. And it's just, it's incredible to see it grow and to be a part of it and to have a hand in it. I mean, that's like the most important part for me, is to look back and say, well, hey, like, I had a part of that. I have a piece of that, especially since it's something that started in the beginning, because it is something that's so important and it means a lot to me. Because I mean, personally, the pro wrestling situation here, as far as like the most popular stuff or the television stuff, I mean, if I was a fan, like, maybe it wouldn't be for me. I love Japanese wrestling and I love New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I would want to be someone that has New Japan Pro Wrestling coming to my towns, coming to my cities, and coming close and bringing that type of action to me, and that presentation and that aesthetic and all of that. So, I think the company goes out of their way to try to cater to their fans and try to find new fans, and it offers a lot to people. And I don't think a lot of people, and this is a problem, you see a lot of people on the internet, man, who are so sucked into that time period of when New Japan was really hot and indie wrestling, like 2017, 18. And it's no offense to any of the guys that were there or what they were doing and why they were so over, whatever. But I mean, everything moves on and everything has to evolve. And people like don't understand that we did have a global pandemic here. And it doesn't seem like anybody really understands how Japan works or how Japan kind of implemented their regulations of the way you could get in and out of the country. It became like nearly impossible for people who did not already have an existing visa to get into Japan after the pandemic. They stopped giving out work visas. That's why you don't see new foreign talent showing up in any Japanese wrestling companies. It's not like they could just it's not like, it doesn't matter how big the company is or how much money they have. They can't just like click their heels together and then all of a sudden like they could get me, Tom Lawler, and all the LA Dojo guys just show up in Japan overnight. It's just you cannot do that. And then at the same time in Japan dealing with their own issues with having to have less people in the buildings and having to follow all these rules and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, give them a break. You know what I'm saying? Give them a break in a way, because they're going above and beyond to produce two entirely different two entirely different sections of a company running touring brands in two different countries during all of this, and kind of trying to evolve past it and continue to grow. And I think that they do their absolute best to try and get out there and give people something to follow. And it's like, you see people still complaining about what it was a couple of years ago. It's like, listen, man, I was one of those people too. I wish American television pro wrestling would have stayed in 1997 forever. Okay. When I was a 10 and 11-year-old kid, it was incredible. And every year it just wasn't as good anymore, of course, but that's not the way it really works. That's not the way it really works. And I mean, New Japan is just with everything going on, still putting on like the most superior in-ring product, is offering such a huge variety of talent and offering two completely different, shows. You have a Japanese version of New Japan Pro Wrestling and you have NJPW Strong running in North America. I mean, what more could you ask for? There's plenty to watch. If you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you, because there's got to be something that you like and all that.
Absolutely. There absolutely is plenty to watch. And you mentioned, New Japan Strong, a silver lining of sorts, where that's been really a strength, pardon the pun, of kind of the New Japan product coming out of the brunt of the pandemic. A lot of momentum. Star-studded cards. There again, Lone Star Shootout on Friday. Great cards coming up here. But also another company that has a lot of momentum is Game Changer Wrestling, and you have a big match there this weekend as well. Outside of Bloodsport, one of the biggest shows of the weekend is Spring Break, the two-part event here. You're going to be on part 2, facing Matt Cardona, and for me, I gotta admit, I'm a big fan of yours, big fan of Matt Cardona, gotta admit. So I'm looking forward to that one. It's you are coming back to the ring, but before your injury, as you said, you're really getting a lot of momentum. Things are really going great for you, and now you're coming back looking to prove yourself. Matt Cardona has been doing a lot of great stuff all over the place with Impact, NWA, and GCW itself. So I gotta ask, where does that kind of rank in terms of all the 3 matches of this weekend? In terms of Matt Cardona doing great things in his own right at this point.
I mean, that's huge, man. Every match is the biggest match. I mean, you got to think about it. I said it to my girlfriend. I was like, I got to wrestle this week, and I was like, I really got to bring it. I was like, because I'm coming back in a pretty good spot. I have three really huge matches. I mean, Matt Cardona is so hot. I mean, Matt Cardona's a jerk off, but uh, you really have to commend the guy. He had a job in the WWE for 15 years. That's a long time. If you go back and look at like some of the top guys' runs, like Hulkamania did not last 15 years. Some of these guys, I'm talking about like the legends they're all synonymous with the World Wrestling Federation and Titan Sports and all that. They did not have a time span in the company that even was close to 15 years. And sure, a lot of things changed over that time, but I still commend him and respect him for having worked for the WWE and had a job there for so long, and really like just kind of cementing his own legacy in a way, and then being able to come out of it and do his own thing, and he seems to be really successful, and he seems to be really enjoying what he's doing now, and to be able to work with him, yeah, it's fantastic. But I mean, a situation like that, I do feel like someone in his position. Sure, GCW is so hot. GCW is like, I always say this, I never back in 2016 would have thought when they changed the name from JCW to GCW and how these ideas, I was one of the people who was not a believer, because I'm not particularly a deathmatch wrestling aficionado, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, oh, whatever, cool. I think it was going to be I would be standing in Hammerstein Ballroom, sold out, talking to an audience, or, and did I think we'd be going to Center Stage Atlanta, right? Center Stage Atlanta, and the place would be packed and everybody would be chanting Dirty Daddy. I was worried before I even went out there that I was like, man, I hope these people know who I am. I've only wrestled in Atlanta one time in my whole career. So, to see the reach that GCW has right now, and the ability to put on matches like this. I mean, this is, talk about like worlds collide. You have this ex WWE guy. You have me, I'm just kind of like the absolute opposite of everything that Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona is. But to see how he's entered into our world and is successful here, it's a testament to him. It's a testament to his ability. It's a testament to his awareness, and just understanding like just how important and huge GCW really is in the whole scope of things right now. I mean, I don't think in all the years I've been around, maybe when I was a fan and like Ring of Honor really started gaining steam, and you saw the evolution of Ring of Honor getting bigger and bigger over the first like 10 years before your eyes. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like GCW. And that was, I started to recognize that 2 years ago in Tokyo, when we were selling out shows in Tokyo, and I was like, I can't, and people already knew who someone like me was, and I never even wrestled there before, but just because they watch it in Japan, and I was like, I can't believe that this shit is this over, and that was 2 years ago, and it literally never stops. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think there's a lot of people out there that they scratch their heads and like, well, why? And it, and I think they let their personal opinion and their biasness kind of like cloud their ability to understand why it works, when really you have to understand. You have to kind of like, if you do have a personal opinion, you have to always understand, like, even if you don't like it, you have to understand why it's successful. And GCW is just tremendously successful. You're backed by a really strong promoter with a strong promotional campaign, and he's able to sell tickets on the road. That's really what it comes down to. You see a lot of buzz-worthy independent companies come and go over the years, but the tried and true test usually is, can you get the ball rolling and draw on the road? And some guys just cannot do it. They can never, they can't sell any tickets as soon as they leave like their one building that they run in their home city, or their one of their 2 or 3 buildings in their home city. So to see GCW grow the way it has, it's been incredible. So like going back to your question, every one of these matches has serious implications, and they all mean so much in so many different ways. And it's all for. I mean, a Bloodsport is part of GCW, but Bloodsport is kind of also like its own thing. My coach Josh and all of that, and so to be able to have that match, and to be able to have the New Japan match, and then to be able to, do a match like me and Ryder and Matt Cardona at Spring Break, it's incredible to me. It's just hitting on all different levels and different ways, and involving all different people in behind the scenes, and and out, and in front of the cameras that I personally respect and I have a lot of love for, and a lot of people involved. I'm blessed, man. I'm very thankful for GCW, and very thankful for New Japan Pro Wrestling. There's two places that outwardly took care of me past me being injured and all that. So
I mean, we talked about New Japan getting momentum. We talked about GCW doing great things, and you've talked about being excited to wrestle for them this weekend. You return to the ring. But I guess to wrap up here, we've really focused on this upcoming weekend, but maybe in a little more broader sense, like kind of looking forward here. Return to the ring. You talked about kind of looking out to, guess, pretty much prove yourself again and remind everyone what you can do. But maybe kind of beyond that, what are some of your goals for the rest of the year? I mean, it's just about the end of March now, but still several months to go. So plenty of things you can do from here on out for the rest of the year. So what's kind of on your list of things to do? Anyone you want to face? Anything you're really hoping to do beyond just kind of keep crushing it with GCW, New Japan, and all over the place?
Well, obviously that, but like I'm just gonna speak it into existence. It's been kind of like you roll your eyes and say, oh, we'll see what happens. But man, I really hope we get to go back to Japan this year. That is like my number one goal. That is really it. Like you'll have to kill me before you'll have to kill me, man, because I will never stop until that happens. And that's definitely number one. I hope we definitely get to go to Japan in some capacity, whether it's touring for New Japan Pro Wrestling, whether maybe we bring the strong brand over there and we do something with that, or just getting back to wrestling in Japan, especially for New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's a life goal of mine. That is something that absolutely needs to happen. So I'm really looking forward to that. I think becoming a reality. Also, like I said, just I didn't play a lot of team sports growing up, but I love sports. Okay. Like I'm a big advocate. Like I could sit and watch, documentaries about baseball teams, about players, about athletes, about football, about basketball, about hockey. I'm a team oriented individual. And, I really am just looking forward to continuing to help my teams out, man. Like, like I said, our group in the NJPW Strong, we got a circle there, and GCW, and just helping grow these newer, things that are, catching buzz and continue to keep on growing and growing and growing. Just to be a part of that is really, really special, because I mean, that cements you and leaves something behind that, like, nobody could take that away from you, to be a part of something like that. When you're standing in the Hammerstein Ballroom and it's sold out, and I know for a fact, like I told you in 2016, I thought Game Changer, I thought it was a terrible name. I was like, and I was on GCW shows when, the promoter at the time was dressed in a Santa Claus outfit in a battle royal. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
it's just,
right.
Yeah, it's just to know that you had a hand in building that, and to be a part of that, and to see it grow and what it's manifesting into. And it's the same thing when it comes to NJPW Strong. To start literally from just wrestling in front of nobody and having no clue where it was going to go, just nothing but uncertainty. What's going to happen here? What's going to happen in the world? Is this even going to last? Or, so to be a part of that, and especially the group of guys over there, like I said, everybody in and out of the ring, all the people you get to work with there, it's always a pleasure to work there. It's just a great environment. Just to be a part of that and to continue to grow that. And there's some companies I see on the indies here that I haven't maybe worked for, and I know I want to work for. I follow Defy Wrestling in the Pacific Northwest, places like that. I see what Jonathan Gresham's doing with his thing. That looks pretty sweet. There's a lot of good stuff going on out there. Some places where I haven't been, or maybe I haven't been back to in a while. So I'm looking forward to getting out there. I'm starting to get a lot of bookings actually now, of like places that are not really always on the regular path, but like, they're hitting me up because they want to get a little piece of the comeback. So looking forward to getting back out there and kind of seeing some new experiences. I have some other stuff coming up too that there is no announcement yet. I don't want to spoil it, but I'm going to be visiting some new countries and hitting up some new places that I've never thought I'd ever see in my life. So I'm looking forward to that. And but just above all, just continuing to grow the New Japan Strong brand and getting back to Japan.
Absolutely. And again, we're going to look forward to this weekend, seeing you return to the ring, Bloodsport, New Japan, Gold Star Shootout, and Spring Break, and then everything beyond that as well. Very much looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you to continue to do great things. So with that, Chris, thank you so much for your time today, and I wish you the very best this weekend and beyond.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you.